It must be hard to narrow them down, but the best of Top Gear is tomorrow night at 8. Now on BBC Two and the BBC HD channel, The Virtual Revolution, Power to the People or Enemy of the State.
Over the last 10 years that I've been writing about the World Wide Web, I've watched it transform our world. Already, a quarter of our planet's population is connected, providing individual users with access to knowledge and to each other unprecedented in human history.
Well, it represents the emergence of a completely new information ecosystem that will have a more profound impact on human civilization than did the printing press.
It's driving transparency. It's driving the perfection of information.
The web seems to have set information free, and we've seen that emboldening ordinary people in the fight for freedom and democracy.
The web naturally tends to lead to openness. It makes openness easy and closeness more difficult.
Anyone who wants to participate has at least the means to participate.
But all is not what it seems. In the chaotic free-for-all of this virtual revolution, there is an ebb and flow of winners and losers in the fight for power.
It is a hugely powerful tool for the state to control us, to know about us.
We are only at the beginning of being able to kind of see how that power balance will work out.
Even as the age-old struggle for freedom captures the headlines, quietly, in its wake, the web is shifting power, sometimes menacingly, in ways we could never have imagined. It's accelerating globalization. It's providing us with new allegiances that cross traditional borders. But it's also reinventing warfare and seems to be creating frightening cultural cul-de-sacs. In the face of all this, old centers of power are crumbling. This film is about the scramble to fill the vacuum left behind and what that means for us. The brief history of the web is littered with new applications that have unintended consequences. What at first seemed to be inconsequential fads take on a life of their own as users harness them to a new cause. Perhaps the ultimate example of this is how a web service called Twitter came to threaten one of the world's most hardline regimes. Twitter was developed in San Francisco in 2006. Along with Facebook, it's part of a web phenomenon known as social networking, fancy jargon for new ways to stay in touch with friends. Twitter enables you to send a message, known as a tweet, from your phone or computer. The message can only be 140 characters long and is read by anyone who subscribes to your Twitter page. Soon after its launch, tweets started to flood the web with people recounting their lives in minute and mind-numbing detail.
It's a microcosm of the World Wide Web, Twitter. When it began, it seemed something just for geeks or people who just wanted to endlessly Twitter. I mean, it seemed very well named. All it was inconsequential prattle.
Many people who didn't already use the service saw it as yet another example of the superficial, all-about-me culture of the web. But then something revolutionary happened.
Iran, June 2009. In the aftermath of a presidential election, opposition supporters poured out onto the streets to vent their anger at what they saw as a rigged contest. The Iranian state hit back with riot police and a ban on any media reporting inside the country. So protesters turned to Twitter to tell the world what was happening. And in extraordinary numbers. In the first 18 days alone, over 2 million tweets were sent out of Iran by over 500,000 people. At its height, 200,000 tweets about Iran were posted every hour. One Iranian living in England was on the receiving end of many of these tweets. She has family in Iran, so we can't show her face or give away her real name. She's known under her Twitter tag, Oxford Girl.
I'd get up to go and make a coffee, and I'd come back, and there was 3,000 tweets that I'd missed.
As she forwarded these messages to a wider public, she became a crucial link between the protesters and the outside world.
Somebody would message me or email me and say, I've just got news from somebody that's on sort of such and such a road and they're arresting people, tell people to go the other way.
Twitter is the effect of the web writ large. Information is placed in the hands of the people, making it like quicksilver, irrepressible and uncontainable.
It's a bit like the Berlin Wall was, if you like. Can you imagine how quickly the Berlin Wall would have fallen if Twitter had existed? It made me feel very pleased and excited that something was happening, also very alarmed, because things can go very wrong very quickly.
Soon, not just social networks like Twitter, but video sharing sites like YouTube were caught up in the life and death struggle in Iran. After a young Iranian woman was shot, millions witnessed her dying moments.
They actually saw in real time someone young and energetic with their life ahead of them being killed senselessly by this regime, and people felt like they wanted revenge for her death.
The web is shaking up world politics because it can capture information from a crowd of eyewitnesses, and then it can transmit it globally in real time. It's unmediated, it's interactive, and it's mobile. This means that it's a radical step forward from the 20th century's great gift to politics, live television.
Unlike live TV, web video prompts instant reaction from right across the globe, and that then feeds back into events unfolding on the ground.
As tragic as the events in Iran were, there was also a lot of excitement in the ability of individuals in Iran to connect with a global audience and with their peers inside Iran to use the power of information to inspire resistance to the regime there and to build a political consciousness in support of democracy.
What you've seen evolving on the web is a great example of how humans co-evolve with their tools. We change our tools, and then our tools change us, and that cycle continues.
The new communications infrastructure did not cause the uprising. What caused the uprising was political discontent. It was just that when people in their moment of need wanted to do something coordinated, they could suddenly lay their hands on these tools in a way they hadn't been able to before.
So the web is like a toolbox for protest unleashed on an unsuspecting world. The geeks who run Twitter aren't surprised by its transformation from mouthpiece of celebrity drivel to weapon of revolution. In both cases, the driving principle is the same.
Well, I think openness is a revolution in and of itself. I mean, you put thoughts out there and you attract other people that you wouldn't otherwise have attracted, and things happen. It's like an alchemical reaction takes place.
It's sort of inevitable that the free flow of information will happen now that these technologies exist in the world, and people will talk amongst themselves, and that leads to power.
What's astonishing is how authority, even powerful nation-states, seem unable to get to grips with the web. But look a little more deeply, and the reason becomes clear. The web's linked information is piped through an older physical system, the internet, that operates beyond the jurisdiction of any one country and works against central control.
It's ironic, given that it now threatens the state, that the internet was originally designed to protect the most powerful nation of modern times.
The internet's origins lie in the Cold War, when America and Soviet Russia were squaring up under the looming threat of nuclear holocaust. 1950.